Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, this tactical intellectual channel. This video presentation today is pretty interesting because it's more of a reaction and it's going to be an introductory video presentation into the wide vast world of migratory patterns or migration patterns from prehistory, the Neolithic or in Neolithic times. And instead of me doing all of the speaking, I think it's best to have a reaction to this panel here to get you guys primed mentally for the subject of migration patterns, the correct migration patterns with added context. I'll just chime in ever so often when the need arises, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and get into it. All right guys, so we have this The Creative Lab TV video here, and it's entitled Intense Confrontation, African Americans Confronts African Women Over Divide. And this is all about getting awareness and hearing the facts in regards to migrations and the patterns. So let's go ahead and start.
Your roots are African, your roots are African, but your roots are African and Americans. You're technically
the real African American. There's a real African American.
So,
all right, so pay attention to her, the one that said they're the real African Americans, the brunette in the yellow dress. All right, just peep her knowledge. And then the ones that's flanking her to the right in the black, she's a first generation citizen of African parentage. And then the one on the left, well, she has a father from the continent of Africa and a mother from the States. So yeah, just check out what she says.
and I say that to say this. That's what you identify as. That's fine.
You were doing the East Side Stomp.
Okay.
Come on now.
Right.
At the end of the day, there's African, European, Asian, and what's the other one?
Australian.
No, Australian is still.
That's a continent.
British.
No, it's a continent.
Don't do that.
So I think that's where people are confused
Hold on a second,
at. A
guys.
lot of people.
So let's just be fair, and there's a lot of generalization. That's fine. That's human nature. There's Africans that you identify as Africans. If you choose not to be identified as African American, even if you was born here, fine. There's African Americans that you can't fight it regardless. Your mom is African American, your dad is African. You're technically African
And
American. A lot of us that come here and we gain our citizenship, we are now African American. There's a lot of folks that believe that they were born, there are people who came from here and do not identify as African.
So that's it. I want to get to that. So that's why I want to get to that. I guess a lot of, see, now I don't know what to call, is it Black American or?
All right, man, before I resume, there's a lot of confusion in how he worded that. So on this panel, I would say that there are two who are pretty knowledgeable, and you'll see that come out. There are two more, maybe three, because one is not saying a word, but there's two, the brothers on the right there. They're pretty open to it. They want to hear the facts before they make a determination, and they're going to let it ride. And then there are two females and one guy in a hoodie. You will see that they have their mind made up. They don't really seem interested in hearing the information because it clashes with their worldview, I guess. But they have to be aware of something before they can determine if it is good or can be thrown away.
African American.
Black American.
Because people get offended. So I don't know. It's like now I don't even know what to say.
I've never been offended, but I'm not African. Need to now separate.
Wait, you're not African?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so I've been told, like we were having a conversation earlier, I've been told that they are Americans, Black Americans who are indigenous to America. So they have no roots to Africa. That's what I'm hearing. Most of them, they've been here since the beginning of time. Okay, cool. If I don't believe it, but that's just fine. My thing is, Ava mentioned on the show that she feels that Black people should take a test to know where they're from in Africa.
Why are you not African? You're just only American?
Yeah, I'm American.
Okay, explain.
So my most recent descendants are literally from.
Is that a problem? Something wrong with that? Let me rewind it so you can hear the full context.
Okay, explain.
So my most recent descendants are literally from Central America and North America, indigenous Black Americans. They have the same color, the same melanin content, but they are not from Africa. I can't name any country in Africa. If I take the ancestral test, yes, but a white person could take an ancestry test and have the same kind of results. Like, what I'm saying is that if I take a test right now, I could say some Italian, some German, some Australian up in there, 13% Ghanaian, 19% Nigerian. Like, who knows and who cares? We all naturally, if we believe in Pangea, we all come from the African diaspora at some point. But what I'm saying is that my immediate ancestors are American. Mine.
Are they Black?
Shaking my head, man. Palming. But listen, man, she kept her silence only to respond. She wasn't really listening to what she said. She wanted to wait till she was done, and then she dropped that simple-minded, are they not Black? But listen, man, there's a lot of gray area and nuance when it comes to this topic right here. People have to be open to hear, well, they have to be aware to hear the facts of the matter, you know? So let's go ahead and go forward.
They're Black, but they're not African. It's a difference.
No, I'm not. Yeah, that's fine. But I guess my confusion is because you just said everybody's. But initially, we all come from Africa.
Yeah, she just.
My thing with you guys is from like the whole thing about African booty scratchers, and even why Black Americans have been called African booty scratchers, is because the white people have classified us all as coming from Africa because we're all Black, and that's where the whole like falsified information has come, where we all come from the Atlantic slave trade, and all the Black people were just shipped here to this country and all over. That's not
Just dropping some facts, man.
true. We were already here. Like, we were already here lining up every part of the world. But once, documents had to be falsified because, governments like their money and everything. Africans and slave chattel was money. So, that's the thing. But I'm saying I'm American. I don't know anybody from
So
Africa.
on applications for rental, for just any application that you apply for when they have the different races and ethnicities, you don't choose African American.
If that's the only option, if it's white, African American, or Spanish, of course I'm gonna choose African American. I'm not white or Spanish. But if there's a different, like recently, they have a longer list.
They have.
So it would have Black American. Yeah. I would choose Black American. Like, I'm American. I was born here. My immediate ancestors from at least the past 10 generations have been from here. And I literally can see, like, my ancestors are what you guys would call indigenous or Native Americans. Like,
What's so hard to believe about that?
Black.
So
They're Black.
Please, I want to just. I'm so sorry because I just want to make sure we're flowing. And I want to go back to you real quick. But before I go to her. So when you say 10 generations, do you know exactly when? I'm just trying to get an idea.
Yeah, that's what he said. The timeline.
Like, is it like?
I could dig into it. Like, I gotta, get in contact with my grandma. She's still alive.
Like, real brief, like, is it like the 1600s or 1500s? Like
17 from what I...
Okay, so pretty much we all come from
Late
Africa
17.
then. Because, you're from America, that's fine. I'm not saying you're not the case, but...
That was condescending right there. she trying to, clown her a little bit. But the brunette in the yellow dress, she knows her stuff, man.
Most of us, or Africans or Black people, we all come from Africa before a certain time.
Everyone does.
Okay, so I think that's the confusion. Nothing is wrong. But I'm just confused. I'm just trying to get my confusion out the way because I keep hearing different things about Blacks saying that they're indigenous to America. So I'm trying to understand. Okay, for how long is it? Like, I'm just confused.
All right, so bear with this dude in the hoodie right there. He's off the wall, man. Check this out.
I think let's start with the time that continents were formed, right? So if what she's saying is true to some extent, because I don't agree with her, so I might be dumb. But if what you're saying is true, then you are more Hispanic or Asian than you are black because
You might be dumb, sir. That didn't make any sense. She's talking about before that. So all that, there was no Hispanic around that time, bro. Keep the timelines in mind, man, and stop trying to be, the first to make that point. Because you're not making a point. You're making yourself look crazy, man. With all due respect.
or the transatlantic slave trade, there was what they call Paleo-Indian, which those individuals.
No, and once again, you're misinformed, and that's
I
beautiful.
was about
That's
to.
nice.
I'm not saying that's the only people that were here, but
Yeah,
they
it's
have
not.
Paleo-Indians, which the Aztec came from, which the what is it, Aztec, the Inca, those tribes came from what is called Asia to some extent, and then Spain came in, which was people were able to have Spanish and things like that.
Man, stop right now, man. You sound crazy. But I know, man, you had that desire to, pontificate. Come on, man, chill.
Which Spain?
It wasn't just that.
Which Spain?
The country?
Because Spain was brought up by the Moors. But a lot of Spaniards was actually black.
Cool, but they weren't the ones that was first brought over on the boat to.
Some people say Christopher Columbus was actually black.
Well, he never discovered America anyways. But
I think the point of contention is that she's saying she gonna go 10 generations back with her grandmother, which is fine. But the other part of it is phenotypically is what they would say. And if slavery was reinstated today, they don't care if you Indian. You are in the same boat that we are.
Didn't say.
That's not even the point, bro. Yo, he's going off. Yo, man, he's deviating from the entire point that his topic is surrounding.
Indian. I specifically said black for the purpose of not associating America or India or Africa with any of it. I'm using black as in, of course, we all come from Africa, even the white people, before Pangea, whatever. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is that with the transatlantic Atlantic slave trade, you've been misinformed to think that there were only, paleo, white colored Indians essentially that were here. That's not true. There were black people here, or as people say, the Moors or whatever you want to call it. There were black people here indigenously, they were across the whole across the whole world.
But then there was also the
continent.
washing of black people away, which my question is.
But I'm saying literally in my family, they were blacker than anybody in this room. Well, not anyone, but not anyone, but but I'm saying they were really dark and African hair, horse hair, they weren't looking like your idea of what an indigenous Native American looks like today, because that's not the original.
But where did they come from, though?
You saying the thing.
No, I know. I get it, but I'm saying, did they cross over from a different place and come to America?
How did they come?
Yeah, how did they come?
I'm explaining. When I say Pangea is the idea that the whole world was one whole mass,
I know that.
and then we started separating. So when I'm saying,
Hold on. So if you know that, then what's the what's the confusion for, man? I don't get it, man. That lady in the black, she bugging, man. But let me rewind it back a little bit.
Pangea is the idea that the whole world was one whole mass,
I know that.
and then we started separating. So when I'm saying here, I'm saying at whatever point America separated from Africa, that's where my people respond. They're black. They're black over here, they're black over there, they're black everywhere. We came from here, but we all separated and we're all black everywhere. And then you guys got confused because in the documents, in the European documents, it's saying during the transatlantic slave trade, there weren't any black people here. We all came from Africa and we all shipped them here. That's not true. That's not even logical. That's not numerically
That's a
possible.
new perspective I've never heard.
Great point. Because the documents and the narrative is, hey, these melanated people, they weren't over here. They came from over here, and we just brought millions of them over here. Great point.
It's a fact.
Did you just hear that? The guy, the Caribbean American guy on your left with the locks and the glasses. Listen to what he say. I'm gonna rewind that back a little bit.
That's not true. That's not even logical. That's not numerically
That's a
possible.
new perspective I've never heard of.
It's a fact.
I don't know the facts, but
Now, if you had a tough time hearing him clearly, this is what he said. He said black people were in Asia around that time. Black people were in Russia. So we already know that melanated people had a heavy presence worldwide, from prehistory to the Middle Ages or medieval times in a lot of places around the world. Australia, Asia, Europe, etc. Now, the fact is, I've done and will continue to do video presentations on the melanated presence of Asia and Russia. I have some currently on this platform, so check them out if you have a chance. So the brother in the locks, he actually knows something in addition to the brunette in the yellow dress. And of course, when I say brunette, I'm talking about a dark skinned, dark haired, dark eyed woman or brown skinned, true to the term, the original term. Now let's go ahead and move forward and take in the last portion of this video.
I'll say this though, as someone that studied Aborigines in Australia, right?
Yeah.
They're black and they're from Australia.
Exactly.
Everybody would think Australia as a white country, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
There were black folks there when they got there.
Right.
And they're not from Africa, right?
They're
They
the
didn't come there
originals.
from Australia. That's their land. And they're black. So for me, it's possible.
It's the same
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
impossible. It's a fact.
So it's
Like,
possible. I'm not saying that I know.
we
I
can
really
pull out our
don't know.
laptops if we want and
I
get to
don't get it
research.
twisted. Don't get it twisted. This is why I say we have to live 1600s and 1700s alone and handle what's going on.
All right, so the guy who made the point about the Australian Aboriginals, he made a very good point. In his background, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say he's from Nigeria, but he's been in the US for a couple of decades. Now, the thing is, you want to be like this person here, because instead of being haughty and stuck on your point, even though it's wrong, and not listening to new information because it clashes with your worldview, he was sitting back. He had a point of reference that's real life and true to life, and that is the Australian Aboriginal. So his point is like, yo, this is possible. It's possible. He even said it himself right there. Now, I like what the again, the brunette in the yellow dress. I do like how she said we can pull out our laptops and start researching the facts, the evidence, the truth. Instead of just going off of what we feel and how we feel regarding the subject, we have to have the facts backing up the feelings, I guess. So kudos to her, the guy in the locks to the left, and these two African guys to the right. That's how you want to be. You want to be knowledgeable, and if you don't have that knowledge, you want to listen to all the pieces of information, and then weigh, do the checks and balance towards the information, and then make a final determination once you have everything. You don't really want to be like the three right here, the guy in a hoodie who's confidently wrong or confidently asserting faulty points. That's not a good look. Now, overall, I enjoyed this panel, this discussion. It was all a teaching moment to me to show this difference in opinion with this person stating a fact. And one thing I want to say is, when the guy made the statement that we have to leave the 1600s and 1700s alone and just focus on the now, well, let me give an analogy, because you could take this either way. On the one hand, yeah, he is correct. We do have to focus on the present. It just so happens that we live in a time where the marks of historical vandalism is also present with us. Just to give an analogy, say that you are a tenant of a high-end penthouse and you had somebody living there paying the rent, but then pretty soon they start missing payments and you have to inform them that they have to leave. They finally do leave, but not before defacing your property, not before letting their animals come in and urinate and defecate all over the place, not before they start taking a hammer to the walls and knocking holes all over the place, not before Smashing your nice TV that you had over the fireplace to pieces, not before pouring concrete down your drains, not before smashing the toilet and letting the water go all over the place, not before putting fecal matter all over your walls, just being crazy, and not before just letting mold and mildew grow all over your place. The fact is, you don't let that issue or problem persist. You have to handle all of those issues there. You have to get rid of the old and bring in the new. And to come off of the analogy, I'm talking about the 18th century plethora of racist ideologies during colonialism. That's still with us today. So we have to get rid of all of that stuff right there is akin to having fecal matter and urine all on your walls and floor. All of that old carpet should have been pulled up and decontaminated before you laid down some new carpet. A landlord would never have the vandalized materials around for the occupant to enjoy or detest. Anyway, it's enough of that point. Check out this video here on this Australian woman and her thoughts.
You cannot deny someone's blackness because they do not have African in their ancestry DNA. If you were educated enough on this conversation, you would understand that Indigenous Australians are considered black. And whether you like to admit it or not, it is true and it is a fact. Let's begin by stop making assumptions about other people, maybe doing a little research, or even better, ask questions. There's absolutely no reason to argue with someone who understands who they are.
Now, she means melanated in the place of black because there's some difficulties that arise when you speak about black and start doing a deep dive on that term. It's not just about skin color, but a social status and other things that I'll address later on. But that's the end of this video presentation here. This was just the introduction. We're going to go over the full deep dive in later installments. So take care. Hope you guys learned something that you can share with others. All right, later.